This is Win News.
Tonight, the Sydney to Hobart field obliterated as pounding conditions see the favourites fall, counting the cost of Victoria's Christmas Day bushfires. And with just hours to go, the stage is set for this year's Taste of Tasmania. Good evening, I'm Lucy Braden. The Sydney to Hobart will have a new Line Honours winner this year with 8-time champion Wild Oats 11, one of 24 yachts forced to retire from the Blue Water Classic following a dramatic night at sea. Currently, 2 American boats are leading the fleet, with Comanche 7 nautical miles ahead of Rambler.
Good evening, Lucy. There hasn't been a start to the Sydney Hobart quite like this for some time. Who'd have thought defending champions Wild Oats 11 and Perpetual Loyal would be forced to retire from the race before even hitting Bass Strait? At one stage overnight, Comanche was even in trouble before the crew managed to fix a broken rudder at sea. It's certainly been 24 hours of drama, and our reporter Charles Croucher has been right across it.
It's a direction they're not used to. Under motor, Wild Oats 11 chugs back into Sydney Harbour, mainsail down, the defending champion out.
And then we had to really have a good look at the sail, and it was just shredded, so we, everyone just knew straight away that was the game over.
The 8-time winner cheered as it was escorted back to dock, strong southerly winds achieving what most had tried and failed, defeating the favourite.
We made a few mistakes, it's as simple as that.
The incident occurred around 10 p.m. last night as the Super Maxi battled 40-knot winds off New South Wales' south coast. Moments later, another front-runner, Perpetual Loyal, withdrew with damage to its bow. On board, this is the moment navigator Adrian Callahan realised her race was over. 15212. The celebrity crew out after just hours at sea.
The boat's taking on water, so the guys have just called in and made the decision to turn around and to go back to Sydney.
Spirits lifted by smoother waters and playful dolphins this morning.
It's been a tough 24 hours. I think obviously everyone's a little bit disappointed in what happened to the boat, but can't control that. Unfortunately we didn't finish, but that's racing. We'll get them next time.
The brutal first 24 hours claiming 24 yachts in total.
Looks like another broken sail.
The crew of 97 champion Brenda mustering a wave, CEX Dolce nursing its broken mast to Jarvis Bay.
And it wouldn't be the best race in the world without conditions to test everybody.
American entry Comanche pushing on despite breaking her rudder. Owner Ken Reid telling officials, one way or another, we're going to finish this damn race. It's a long way from Constitution Dock, but the crews arriving back in Sydney are philosophical. There's been no injuries reported from the fleet as yet, and it's only 1 year till they can do it all again.
No, we're happy. We'll have a couple of beers and start talking about what next.
At Wild Oats, skipper and owner already planning the 2016 campaign.
Just start planning for next year. That's just the way it is. This team doesn't lay down. It's just keep moving forward. You fall off the horse, you jump back on. So it was a big horse last night we fell off.
Charles Croucher reporting there. Well, that's the latest from a windy Hobart waterfront. I'll be back later in sport with an update from the Commodore of the Cruising Yacht Club of Australia, John Cameron, plus the latest on our only Tasmanian entrant in the race and the start of the Launceston to Hobart Yacht Race from Beauty Point. That's coming up in sport, but for now, back to you, Lucy.
American yachts Comanche and Rambler are currently leading the fleet in the Sydney to Hobart Yacht Race after 8-time Line Honours winner Wild Oats 11 was forced to retire from the race overnight. For more, we cross back to our sports presenter Brent Costelloe on Hobart's waterfront.
Well, Lucy, what a dramatic 24 hours it's been for the Sydney to Hobart, with so many retirements from the race, but none bigger than defending champion Wild Oats 11. The Super Maxi limped back into Sydney this morning. Here's what skipper Mark Richards had to say.
Certainly a very different feeling to Constitution Dock, that's for sure, but that's part of the sport. It's an equipment sport, and we had a failure, and this is the way it is, so get on with life and start planning for next year.
Back here in Hobart, the Commodore of the Cruising Yacht Club of Australia, John Cameron, gave us an update earlier this afternoon. Here's what he had to say.
State of play at the moment, we've had 23 retirees, which represents around about 20% of the fleet. It's an interesting exercise. It's largely caused because of the weather, but what you must consider is that the weather has 2 components. It's the wind, but in this case we've also got the wind against current, and that's making the seas stand up and create a terrible sea state for these boats to travel through.
What are the conditions that they're heading into tonight?
The breeze is moderating. and I'm anticipating that we'll be getting something between 15 and 20 knots for the finish of the race for the first group. What happens with the fleet following will depend upon the weather, and that's still a little bit far out to be determined.
With the retirement of Cougar 2 yesterday, Rob Fisher's Helsel 3 is now the only Tasmanian yacht in the event and is tracking nicely, just sitting outside the top 20. Well, the Sydney to Hobart isn't the only yacht race on at the moment. The Melbourne to Hobart began this afternoon, as did the Launceston to Hobart, and WIN's Tom Cooper was there to capture the colour and movement at Beauty Point.
Keen to get things underway, crews readied their boats at Beauty Point, some skippers finding help anywhere they could. The fleet of 28 then expertly circled the harbour, getting within metres of each other. Then it was off with a bang. With 20-knot winds at their sails, it didn't take long for the bigger boats to assert dominance. Five-time winner Fork in the Road and strong contender Tilt setting the early pace.
Boats can catch up to you and just keep working at it right to the end. And I think that's one of the keys. Just deal with each situation as it happens.
With some of the field just a third of the size of the Super Maxis currently battling brutal conditions in the Sydney to Hobart, the 285 nautical mile sail along the northeast coast should prove much more forgiving. While the winds remain strong, it should give the bigger, faster boats a chance to get out to a dominating early lead. However, during the evening, conditions are expected to ease, which should give the smaller boats in the fleet a chance to make up some ground.
So we'll be hunting around for breeze all night, which makes it very tiring. Not so much on the crew, but on the brains trust and the guys steering. It's really quite tough. There is a full moon tonight, which would be great.
The current race record sits at 1 day, 12 hours and 18 minutes, set last year by Fork in the Road. Light winds will make breaking that all but impossible this time around. But if the start of the Sydney to Hobart is anything to go by, anything is possible. Tom Cooper, WIN News.
Back to the Sydney to Hobart, and the yacht tracker is currently predicting a finish time of late tomorrow afternoon or early evening, but of course that can change by the minute. That's the up-to-date information from Hobart's waterfront, Lucy. Whatever happens, be sure we'll have it all covered in WIN News tomorrow night.